Hey YouTube, Mostly Nerdy, remember me? Been a long time, 'cause I've been playing this game for a long time, 'cause I keep dying all of the time. So, um, we're at the Profane capital, one of the locations that I actually know how to say the name, and just go down the ladder. Don't try to do what I did, 'cause you're not going to be able to get that. I thought I was going to be able to fall on that ledge and pick that up. That's not how you get that. So just come to where the rubble kind of has an opening and drop down, and then go to the left. There's not really anything on the right, so I will show you real quick to cheer your curiosity. But there's some stuff, and there's some stairs, and you can go down that way. But I didn't see anything, so whatever. There's probably a secret. If you climb that ladder on the left, that is how you pick up that item that I tried to get. And immediately you will get attacked by a gargoyle dentist. So it will shoot some fire at you and probably kill you if you're as bad as I am. I don't think this guy actually killed me though, so just take him out like he did the one on the bridge in my last video, and nothing too hard. He just likes to block a lot, and that's pretty much all I can do. So eventually you'll get rid of this guy, and we can get going here, because we're about 2 minutes into the video, and I haven't even killed the first enemy yet. But there we go. So after you take him out, you can head to the left here, because I think that there's an item this way. So if you run past the gargoyle and you look, and then you see no items, but that does give you an idea of where we're headed here in a little bit. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to see this crystal lizard run and jump over the opening so you don't fall down into that area, because that area is toxic. So if you jump down there, you'll end up getting intoxicated. Don't worry, that thing killed itself anyway. But run down this way, pick up that, and then before you drop down, there is another crystal lizard in those hallways. So run back and make sure that you get that other crystal lizard for all the goodies. It's not too confusing, this area, but I could see where somebody might get confused and turned around, because there's no like real distinguishing markers. But there is the other crystal lizard. Just make sure that you're keeping an eye out for openings that you can fall through. There is one other item in this area that we need to make sure that we pick up. The item that we need to pick up is kind of in the back corner, so just head back towards where that crystal lizard was, and you can see the item already in the corner. Be aware that there is a spot to drop down, so make sure you're running and jumping, or this will happen to you, and then you're surrounded by these guys. It's not that big a deal if you fall down though, because this is the area we're going to end up in anyway. It just pretty much guarantees that you're going to end up toxic. So just pick up the items in this area, and toxic is a little worse than poison, so keep an eye on your health. I don't know if that's based on my stats or my build or whatever, but I'm sure that I am probably not very good against toxic, but whatever. But from here, if you go into this corner, and be aware that there are enemies just floating in the sludge. There's this item in the corner that we can pick up, and it is a stone, so pick that up. And then there's this little area right here where you can open up this door. So we'll go ahead and do that. Press the button and it'll open the door. And then you can see that there is this gross hand looking enemy. Not sure what it's called. See how it likes fire, doesn't like fire. These enemies are melee enemies. Predominantly they do have a grab attack that is pretty powerful. Worth noting about these enemies is if you try to get behind them as your strategy, they will just sit their fat butt on you. So they have a nice radius that they can hit you with, and getting behind them, which is my strategy against a lot of enemies, does not work. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my toxic state so that I don't have to worry about that while I'm fighting these guys. And because once you go in here, there are actually 2 more, and you can probably do the divide and conquer by throwing a throwing knife or something at one of them. But I didn't do that, and it kind of backfired on me. So it can get kind of difficult to fight these guys if you're fighting both of them at the same time, because you can see that they kind of just roll around. So basically, you could be attacking one and then the other one just like flops right on top of you. So it is kind of frustrating whenever that happens. So just be aware that that can happen, and it can get under your skin just a little bit, guys. Like, Dark Souls doesn't make you rage enough. So I kind of tried to stay away from going out there because I didn't want to become toxic again, and then I ended up getting grabbed. And then you can see that the grab attack that he does actually takes souls away from you. So I lost souls because he decided he wanted to eat me with his hand. That was not cool. That was so uncool that even I think it's not cool, and I don't even know what cool is. So this is the reason that trying to fight both of them at the same time is not the best of ideas, because then they kind of get you in a loop a little bit where they are just taking turns trying to hit you, and there's not much of a chance to mount an attack or anything. But I resorted to throwing fire bombs, and then I thought I had a little bit of a window here, but it wasn't much of a window. So but once you finally get these guys to go down, because look at the health, they are both almost dead. So once you finally get one of them down, the other one should be no real threat, and then you can pick up your items, which are poop. So totally worth it to kill those things and fight them for 2 minutes to pick up poop. So thanks, Dark Souls. And then pick up your item there, which I guess is what makes it worth it. But if you come out the way that you came and hang a left from the door, there's this ladder straight ahead, and you can climb this ladder and then take this narrow pathway, kind of a linear path. So but then it splits off. There's 2 ways to go. There's this way that is this opening, and then there's some stairs there. But if you come in this way, you can see that there is another enemy to fight, one of these hand guys. So try to get some damage in before he can even react. I didn't get much damage in before he could react, but that's okay. That attack right there where he like swipes at you is quite damaging, and whenever he thrusts his face at you like he's punching you, it is pretty damaging as well. So be aware of that if you are fighting this guy, but not as hard as fighting 2 of them at the same time. So pick up the item, which is more poop. You are just collecting poop all day right now. And then pick up this item right here, which is an armor set, and then there's this chest right there. I don't even think I picked up that chest immediately because I'm thinking it's a mimic, since mimics are all day, and it is a mimic, so be aware of that. Usually there's a nice message warning you of the mimic, but not on this one. Um, but take out the mimic and then get your item, which is a staff, so could be pretty helpful for you depending on what your build is. And then there is actually a little area right here that you can go to pick up this item, which is rubbish, and then make your way back to the opening. Don't drop down, that's what I did originally, and go up the stairs, and immediately there is an NPC who will attack you. So this guy is not that hard. He seems like he does not take physical damage well, but he does have some powerful magic. And then you can pick up Logan's Scroll, and you may have seen that message there that was telling you that you can run and jump through the window that is across from that message and use the old cell key to free an NPC and get the gold Serpent Ring. But I missed it this time through, but you can see the message again. It is across from that. So you can go in the corner and pick that up and then go into this room, which is actually the room we just fought that enemy in, and drop down and pick up the Wrath of the Gods. And then from there, back to the stairs, back to the main path, and we will actually go up the stairs this time. So up the stairs, there are a couple of enemies, and you're gonna be like, what? Where are the enemies? See where I died? There's the enemies. You just don't see them because they're invisible, they're sneaky. But pick up your souls because you clearly died, because I died, and that means that it's tough. But this will give you an idea of where we're at. There's that giant. If you killed the giant already, he is not going to be there, but this is where we're at. We're back in the dungeon. We're just in a different spot, so don't drop down yet till you pick this item up. This is the Jailer's Key Ring. I don't know why I said it like that, but from here you can just drop back down because we are right next to a shortcut to a bonfire. So drop down, you will take a little damage and you will get attacked immediately by rats, and you will wake up the giant because you were super loud, you crazy party animal. Maybe a couple of them will follow you, but that's about it. I didn't really have too much of an issue of them following me. But once you get through this never-ending elevator that is the slowest moving elevator ever, we can go back up to the original bonfire at the dungeon, and we're going to go back through real quick and open up some of the cells that we couldn't open up before, because that key you just picked up is going to open some of them, and we're going to get some goodies and stuff like that. So right off the bat, in the first little area, there is already something we can open up, and it's on the right here, and we will pop this open, use the Jailer's Key Ring, and pick up the gold coin, and head towards this way. And I knew he was there. He was trying to sneak one by me. Ooh, sweet. Got some jailer gloves. You can drop down there and kill that thing if you want. I'm actually gonna do that. I think dropping down here is the way to go anyway, because this is how we get to one of the cells we need to open. So if you are low on health like me, make sure you whip out that torch and get them off of you. But didn't really need to kill that guy. You probably just run past him. Don't need to kill this guy. You probably just run past him too. But there are reasons that I came down here. One of which is right here. Use that to get this item, and it's some ashes to give to the handmaiden, and she will be like, oh, I got more stuff for you to buy, and I'm like, okay, thanks, and then that's the end of that conversation. Anyway, we've already been through this area. Basically, we just need to get to the area that had a whole bunch of jailers in it. So just fight your way through. We are actually headed that way to get an NPC that we can put in Firelink Shrine, who does a whole bunch of sorcery stuff and whatever else. Things like that. Um, so you have a couple of routes you can take. I am going to admit that I just made a mistake by dropping down there because I was just in that room. So don't do that. It's a little too late, isn't it? You probably already did it. Sorry, guys. So basically, we're gonna make this path. I don't know if you can run past these guys without taking the damage. That's why I took the time to kill them, because all they have to do is look at you. So, and I'm just getting mad because I keep getting hit. So, you can actually go back to the first bonfire in the dungeon and travel to the Profane capital, and it would probably be quicker. But it's up to you. You would have to fight the gargoyle, would really actually be the only thing that you would have to fight before you got to the room with the jailers. I just did not think that through whenever I did it. So, I also don't know why I came through this way instead of just using the door that I opened. It was almost like I wanted to get souls or something. I actually think I did this just to see what the area was like with a higher level guy, and the satisfaction of just ripping through the jailers with relative ease whenever they're by themselves. But that's my vindictive gaming style. So, like I said, you can just do the Profane Capital bonfire, or you can run past all these enemies without really having to worry about fighting them. You don't even have to go through this room. Basically, we want to get to the spot where the cage enemies are, so that we can take the shortcut that was behind the locked door. So this is really just me being like, hey, jailers that killed me so many times, look at me now. And then you can see that it's kind of backfiring to a certain extent because my health is so low now. But they didn't kill me. That's all I can say about that. But once you get your health back up, once again, you don't have to kill this guy. It is me proving a point to myself that I am the best. And this is where we really wanted to get to. So you could just run past all that stuff. Go through the door and take the elevator that's not here right now, so pull the lever. And then I think this might be when I picked up the item that is on this ladder. So I'm not sure if I did here or not, but if you didn't pick it up your first time through, make sure that you pick it up now. I apparently did not pick it up, but there was that platform. So this is going to take us to that room that has all the jailers in it, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a strategy that I used. It's kind of like divide and conquer, but it's kind of specific to this area because they are kind of a pain, and since they don't even have to get close to you to hurt you, what I did was I used some distance weapons. If you have pyromancy weapons that you can use, just do that, or throwing knives, and then run away so you can break the line of sight. And typically one or two, maybe even three of them will come after you, and then you can do some melee damage, and then after killing them and they stop looking at you, they will start just doing their circle around the center of the room, and from there you can rinse and repeat. So I'm actually going to speed this up a little bit because this technique, it works, but it takes a while. So depending on how good you are with your range weapons or pyromancy or anything like that, it might not take you as long, but it took me a while. I feel like I have totally neglected the distance aspect of character building and been solely focused on melee. So after a little bit, you will only have a couple left, and you should be able to take out a couple of them without having to do anything special. But once you clear this out, you can pick up any items that you might have missed. But what we really want to do is come up and hang right, and there is a jailer right here. Make sure that you take care of him. But once you are done clearing the area, there is a cell over here that you want to open up, and there is an NPC named Karla, and she will talk to you, and I'll speed that up a little bit so I don't ruin the story for you. Doesn't look like I sped it up, but I did like twice as fast. Just offer to help her, and then she'll say some stuff, pretty emo stuff, and then you're like, oh, I'll still help you even though you're emo, bro. And then she goes to Firelink Shrine. So after doing all of that, we can go back to the Profane capital bonfire, and from there we will head towards the boss. So just head that way and watch out for the gargoyle that's going to attack you. I'm going to skip that because you don't need to watch me fight that thing again. So once you get to the bonfire, there is this ladder that is literally right next to it, and you can slide down this long ladder. Look really cool. Just hold down your button, or you can climb down really slow and boring like, and then you will see there's a couple paths you can take this way. You can see that you're getting attacked already with distance fire attacks, and if that's not enough excitement for you, there's a gargoyle right there too. So what I did was I just ran and got hit by fire orbs a lot, so you can run past and pick up this item. I thought that the gargoyle was going to chase me, but he didn't. But be aware that anytime you are on this bridge, you are going to be getting attacked. And I couldn't see him coming, so I just kept taking it like a champ. But once you get across, whether you fight the gargoyle or not, you are going to be in this area, and there are quite a few enemies in this area. These guys look like jailers, but they don't attack you the same way. So whenever they look at you, you don't get your health drained or anything like that. These guys are more of a fire attack, so there you go. You get to see a couple of the ways that they attack you. One of them is just like a fireball, and then the other one is like a constant stream of fire. They do have melee attacks, Those look like daggers, I guess. But there are multiple sets of groups of enemies here. So multiple sets of groups. That sounds like a lot. And then there's this gargoyle right here. So I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I would get a backstab, and I don't know. It didn't even work. So there's this gargoyle in this area. I would recommend not trying to fight them in the narrowed down part. Go ahead and back up and fight them closer to where you just killed those enemies. Just for the maneuverability that you can have. And then on the left is where the next boss fight's going to be. And then straight ahead is another group of the fire enemies. But there's only like 4 of them here. So nothing over the top. So just take those guys out, and then there's some items, or at least one item that we're going to pick up in this area. So let's go ahead and take them out, and then try to avoid the fire that I was standing right in front of, because it hurt me pretty bad. But just defeat these guys, nothing special. And then after you beat them, you can come down this way, and there's a couple items. There's one off to the right in the corner, and then one at the end of the path. And this path is the path that you would take if you took the other way instead of going across the bridge. It's kind of like dropping down on platforms and whatever else. But pick up that rusted coin, and then if you go to the very end of this, there is another item, and it is another rusted coin. So after you pick those up, we can head back into the building, and we will hang a right, and this will be one of the last fights before the boss. So try not to die, because it's embarrassing not even making it to the boss. Trust me, I would know. But straight ahead, you can see there's quite a few enemies here. So try to divide and conquer as usual. And then from there, you will also be ambushed. So something you can try to do is not even fight these guys immediately. But once you hit a certain point, another gargoyle drops down. So you can either try to hit them from far enough to where you don't trigger that gargoyle, and then you can take out plenty of them at once, and then just fight the gargoyle separately. Or you can try to lure the gargoyle out and then run away. I did both, and whenever I tried to lure the gargoyle, I still had to fight a couple of these guys with the gargoyle, which was not fun, because they basically just shot fire at me from a distance the entire time. And then you can see how far away I ran back, just trying to get these like 4 guys. It was like 4 or 5 of them that came at me. So once you take them out, we can go back. Ooh, thank you. And we will try to trigger this gargoyle that drops down before we fight these other guys. And you know how they say patience is a virtue? Well, I don't have any of that. So I made it to a certain point, and I was like, he must not be coming. And then I threw a firebomb, and then he dropped exactly about the time I pressed the button. So whatever. So now I'm fighting this guy and one of the other enemies at the same time, and you can see that it's kind of like they just have this little helper. It's like a companion from Fallout or something, but you can back up a little bit, and it might give you a little bit of wiggle room, and they might get separated a little bit, enough to where you can kill this one. And then you can just focus on the gargoyle, which should be no real big deal at this point, depending on how many times you went from the Profane capital to anything, because this guy's all over the place in the Profane capital, and by that I mean I think he shows up twice. So you can take him out, and then we will grab this item, because this guy was nice enough to give us some goodies. And after that, we only have a few of these guys left to take out. Um, I will note that there is a chest off to the right from where I'm facing right now that I did not pick up this run through, because I totally missed it, wasn't paying attention. I didn't check every nook and cranny like I usually do, but we can still take these guys out, and then we will get to the next boss here shortly after we do a little more Dark Soulsing. But there's that chest. I looked right at it and I just completely ignored it. And then I do not recommend charging this guy like that. I got lucky, kind of, but this is a mimic, and that's a mimic. So I showed you that because I died, because I wasn't careful, and I hit both of them at the same time. The best strategy here is to hit one and then just kill it, so that you can focus on one at a time. Now, since I did this, I have learned that there is an item that these mimics drop. Any mimic can drop it, but it is a helmet basically that gives you 50% increase in souls, and there's a way to farm it in this area. But once you kill a mimic, the mimic is dead and it doesn't come back. So you could probably Google it. Basically, you're gonna do like the Hunter's Charm or something like that, and it makes them like go to sleep, and then there's a chance that they might drop the item. So yeah, that's how you farm that if you wanted to do that. I haven't done it, and I have accepted the fact that I'm not gonna get that helmet, but that's okay because it eats away at your HP anyway. So just kill the mimics to get their stuff if you want to do it that way. If you want to farm the thing, then go for it. But after you take out those mimics and pick up the stuff from the other chest that's in the corner, we are ready to fight. If you help the NPC out of the cell, there is a summon sign for him, but I did not do that, so I will end up fighting Yhorm the Giant by myself. So traverse the fog, and basically before you do anything, we need to get to the throne. So evade any attacks that he might throw at you, and just make your way to the throne, because there's that item right there, and that item is Storm Ruler. It is a weapon, so if you are able to switch and move at the same time and not die, then you can do that, but you need that weapon so that you can beat this guy, because if you try to attack him with anything else, it's not going to be any good. It does no damage. But basically, you need to put your weapon in the state where it can do damage to this guy. The way you do that is by holding it in the stance, and then it basically gains power, and you can actually do a significant amount of damage to his health. So stance like that. For me, it was the left trigger, and then you have to do the power attack, and it does a significant amount of damage, and it knocks him to his knees. Once you get enough to do it again, just rinse and repeat. Even if you have it set up to where you're doing the stance and you don't do the power attack, it's not really going to do enough damage. So kind of give yourself a little space and then do the attack. If you have charged it up and then you get attacked, you shouldn't have to charge it again. But it really should only take about 5 of these bad boys to kill him. The trick is figuring out how to do it, I guess, because I probably ran around for 6 or 7 minutes actually surviving against this guy but not doing any damage whatsoever. So yeah, if you're having any issues, you have to equip this weapon and use it accordingly. Like, you saw that I just did like a normal attack basically and did about 150 damage, and it was like nothing to him. So he does get a little more aggressive towards the end, so it's a little harder to be able to do the damage. But eventually he'll go down, and then there will be a cutscene, so I'm gonna skip that cutscene. And we are back towards the beginning of the game, and I ran around like an idiot for a while, so here's the transition. So a little bit of a dialogue here. I'm trying to talk over it so I don't give away any kind of spoilers or anything. But after you beat that boss, it goes straight into another boss fight. Once you go up to the statue and interact with it. So I got that from a clue. I skipped a cutscene again, but this is a dancer. So this is the dancer fight. A lot of people love this fight, and I actually love it too. So this is this is the boss fight that you can trigger early. So I didn't trigger it early because I would have just gotten demolished. But so this enemy has fire, and then I think it's either dark or magic, and the other sword. But the good thing is that physical damage is pretty good against this enemy. Sometimes the attacks are pretty intense, like those spinning attacks that it just did. But if you have a good shield, like 100 physical, then you're probably okay, because then the attacks don't really do that much. So I actually didn't die once fighting this boss, and I know that a lot of people think that this boss is one of the more difficult ones. So I'm not sure if my build is just good for this boss or what, but watch out for those area of effect attacks because they do a decent amount of damage considering that they're spread out like that. But eventually you will get this boss and it'll create a bonfire here, and now I promise for real we're done this time. It wasn't a trick. So light the bonfire, go level up, whatever you want to do. But whatever you do, make sure that you like and subscribe and all that YouTube stuff. But above everything else, stay nerdy.